Hi, I'm Dave.
Hi, I'm Robin.
Welcome
to Schoolwide Download.
Download.
All right, welcome back to Schoolwide Download. I'm Robin.
And I'm Dave. In today's episode, we're going to go into something that I think there's some interest in. I think there's going to be some opinions.
There's going to be some opinions.
I think we're going to take a side and we'll see what happens. So it divides teachers.
Okay.
It divides parents.
Oh, yes.
It divides students. I'll share a story later. And I have two children. They're on opposite sides of this. And I still think there is healthy debate about this today. And this is not something new. This is not technology.
Yeah.
Robin, tell them what it is.
Homework. Is homework a valuable learning tool, or is it draining our youth? Where do you stand? Okay, let me start back. As a teacher, did you assign homework?
Yes.
Okay. What was your reasoning for assigning it?
I did my best to make sure that it was not, and I don't know that I always succeeded in this. I didn't want it to be homework for the sake of homework.
Okay.
I did not want it.
Check.
I just did not want it to be busy work.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in one of the social studies courses I taught, we looked a lot at current events.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be, all right, tonight for homework, I want you to find a current event that maybe is occurring in the part of the world that we're studying, or if it's maybe you and another family member take opposite ends of, because we wanted to practice healthy debate, something like that. So in my teacher mind, this was like legitimate homework.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be unpacking what homework really does for learning, what it does for families, what it's really doing for kids. You know, is it beneficial, or is it just something to assign? I did assign homework in the beginning of my career, and I feel like as I kind of got into teaching in the years,
it was less and less.
Yeah. And I can't say that I don't know if it's like something that I just learned through the years of teaching, or if the students shifted. We'll talk more about that, but I don't know what evolved exactly for me to make that change.
So in other words, was it a student evolution?
Right,
was it you
right.
as a teaching professional evolution? Well, I mean, I think at minimum, if as you become more experienced in teaching, I think the natural, hopeful progression is that you're getting better at it.
Yeah.
So maybe as you taught, you felt like things that you didn't get to that maybe had to be done at home.
Yeah.
As you perfected your craft, you got more done during the day, maybe stuff like that. And then maybe at the time, because I think it's gone both ways. And I mean, this is what you can kind of go into next is what's the research?
Right.
Did you hear that research is showing that there's not a big dividend from homework or it causes more harm than help? So I think
at the point as a teacher, when I'm taking my marker and doing a check and not really looking at the homework, I think that in itself is saying, is it really beneficial for the kids?
Yeah.
And I think it depends on where you're teaching at. You know, I taught at a building that was, my students didn't always come from the best home life.
I had a similar experience.
We both did, actually.
Yeah, I think we had similar.
We did, and I feel like that also played a role in it a little bit. So let's talk about the research.
Well, and I will tell you this before you get into that. So we're talking about homework.
Yeah.
We're talking about assigning it. We're talking about the pros and cons. And the other thing that I will be very transparent about and, come clean on right now, there's two parts to homework. There's the giving of it from the teacher, and then there's grading it.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that as well. But that sometimes I gave myself unreal expectations to make sure I got everything graded in a timely manner, which it should be. But back to the research.
Well,
what does the research say?
So the research does say homework kind of helps. Okay, really, literally the word kind of. I was like, Okay, so in the older grades, a modest amount can reinforce skills. Okay, which makes sense. And you come from the lens of middle school.
Yep.
So for the older grades, it's that reinforcing what was already taught in the classroom. It is building
Yes.
those skills. It is giving them that opportunity to study. Those are really good habits to have, and it will carry on through life.
I was just going to say, do you, in your line of work, whether it is in the classroom or at the educational service center, do you ever have to do work from home?
Absolutely, all the time.
So you're still doing homework.
Right. So I do agree with that piece of it. Now, elementary school, that's where I get a little bit, and that's my lens.
Right.
Because the kids need help. Like, homework is at home, and I'm not always sure what they're going home to.
Yes.
As a parent, I despise homework, and I'm an educator. And when my daughter brings home something, and at the end of the day, you've done all the things, your job, you get home, making dinner, you're coaching the soccer team, you get home and it's like, do you have homework? And it's like, oh my gosh, just like another thing.
And then every now and then, that homework that you're going to help with,
yeah,
I'm guessing this has happened, your daughter is being taught that content in a different way than you were taught.
Oh my gosh, math, I am clueless with. So then it comes to become that like argument and fight back and forth. It's not even worth it. And so if I'm experiencing this as an educator, and that's my background, I can't imagine parents that aren't in education.
And back to that demonic thing called math, I mean math, it's, you want to help,
right?
But you learned it a certain way.
Yeah.
So sometimes the fear is, if I help my son or daughter, the only thing that I have the ability to do is to help them in the way that it makes sense to me.
Yes.
So back to support, I'm going to say your side of this argument, potentially, I could be doing more harm than good.
Well, that's where AI comes in handy as a parent.
And then the student goes, well, Dad, that's not how we're supposed to do it.
I have used AI several times this year on math homework because of that reason. Just because the way I think that it was taught back and when I taught is not even close. But, really looking at it. So I can see in the older grades how it can be beneficial, but looking at it through the elementary lens, it depends on what you're assigning. I think now what does matter, reading at home. I'm a huge proponent. Now, teachers can go either way with like a reading log, and I get it. It's like, how do you know they're really reading? But I think building that stamina of reading and reading at home is important.
Now let me ask you this, is it read whatever you want?
I think so.
Yeah,
I do. I've always been that way. I've never been the teacher that if they don't enjoy the book we're reading, even if it's required, to have them take that home. I like them to read for joy if they're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's say it sounds like maybe it's different based upon the age of the learner, but it sounds like there is research out there that says even for the younger, there's minimal gains. Gains.
Now,
so let's add in the other side of that is, so for a minimal gain, depending upon the student, which of course we all know students are unique, for some students that homework is going to be a tremendous source of anxiety.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So, as a teacher, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, I'm sure it has, you teach long enough that you have brothers and sisters, correct? Maybe even parents. You teach long enough, I remember your parent, I was close. So with those, did you ever have this happen, which is you think, there's no way that these two kids are related?
Oh yeah, my gosh.
Because of how different they are. Which
yeah.
you don't understand until, I have two kids, they're very different.
Okay.
So when it comes to anxiety, I'll give you a case in point. My daughter was the type of learner that, okay, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so said, do this, I'm gonna do it. And there's extra credit offered, and I'm gonna do it. And then there's this that's offered, and I'm gonna do it. So she would go into any type of an assessment or grading opportunity to be tested with 100% in the class.
Right. That's just who she was as a student.
And then she would struggle on the assessment. She would get pretty chronic test anxiety.
Okay.
So homework was her comfort because the test was not
So what you're saying is she would get the credit by doing the homework, doing the extra work, the extra assignments.
So when
it came to the test, she could bomb it, but she needed, the anxiety was there.
So that homework gave her the comfort to know that even if I do poorly on the test.
Right.
Now my son came from a different universe, which is just test me on it. I'll show you that I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Why are you making me mess with homework?
Right.
Just test me. I'll demonstrate competency. There's no need for me to waste time with this.
Yeah.
So 2 kids, same dad, same mom.
Yeah.
Completely different takes on that.
I think I got to the point as a teacher, and maybe you can relate to this, but the kids that were coming in the morning, like you said, this anxiety, they weren't doing their homework. They didn't, they're taking care of siblings. Nobody's at home in the evening. They might be making dinner. They're kind of taking on a role in the household that maybe I'm not
aware of.
Expecting or aware of.
Yep.
And so to add homework to that, there's no one there to help them. So then I'm penalizing them when they come back in the next day. You didn't do your homework. You're in trouble. You're missing recess. And I'm not looking at, like, I've just ruined that child's day. They had a really crappy night, all because of homework. I think I got to a point in my career where I was like, it's not worth it. And that's when I started to just do less and less. And if you did read at home, great. If you didn't, I wasn't going to penalize you for it because I wanted them to like school and I wanted them to come to school.
Yeah, and then you have a different take on that, or the opposite side of that, which is, I don't know if you've ever had, homework that came in that looked like it had been on an episode of Survivor. It's dirty, there's glitter, there's glue on it, there's blood. Don't ask about that. Like there's stuff going on.
I don't want to touch it.
And then you have that other side of the spectrum, which is, and I'm drawing some conclusions here that I don't know, but I'm pretty confident that I do know this.
Yeah.
You would have because you'd figure this out at open house. You'd see these kids come in and turn something in, and you're like, this is spectacular.
Yeah, yeah.
And tell your mom or dad or grandparent or good job on that, because I'm pretty sure. So you see that kid comes home and to their credit, that doting parent, what are you working on? Well, what about this idea? And I can just see that kid sitting there watching the adult do that work.
I've been guilty of helping my daughter probably too much, because at the end of the evening, you're just exhausted. And it's like, we just got to get through this.
Let's get this done.
Yeah, let's just get this done. So, and I also think that matters of where you're at. So like we said, we came from pretty similar demographics of buildings and districts, but you might be in a district where it's an expectation, where parents are expecting the homework. They want top notch. They're expecting
the rigor of the course.
Absolutely, but is it rigor or is it busy work? Like, I think there's a fine line.
Well, I believe what we are charged in doing is to prepare these learners for the world of work, or potentially before the world of work, the world of higher education.
Yeah.
Is there homework in college?
Yeah.
Do you have stuff that you have to do at home?
Yes.
So, and I can say this.
So is it more about the responsibility versus the learning?
Yeah. Is it follow through? And I think also when you're looking at higher ed, sometimes more majors are project based. I was actually a political science major. It was a midterm and a final, and a project. Yeah. I really didn't have. I mean, reading and staying up with stuff, but I really didn't have. So I think it's very situational. But I think we want people to be successful in their next phase. Right. So I'm kind of hearing you seeing it as like a responsibility piece. Yeah. As like being responsible enough to get it completed. I kind of liked your example of what you did. Like, watch a current event, discuss it with your family, and become back into class ready to discuss. Like, to me, that's a responsibility piece. Me sending a worksheet home for them to... We did the evens, do the odds at home. Yeah, like, I think that to me is a little bit of like, eh. And then now with AI, we have technology. It's really easy for them to just look it up on using some sort of AI tool. Right. How am I to know that they're not doing that? There's that element of that. It's just, it gets to be so many things. It's another layer. It's a huge layer, and it's one that's very topical, and I agree with that. So I think you're starting to mention, things like equity and the realities of home. Let me give you one other example. I can remember driving my son to soccer practice. I'm going to say he was in 6th or 7th grade, and he had, it just kind of dates it. He had an iPod. So he's looking at his iPod, and I hear this voice. He's sitting in the back seat. We're driving to practice, and I hear this. And then you did it. I'm like, Thomas, what are you looking at? He goes, well, it's my teacher. What are you talking? She's like, no. So we're trying this thing called the flipped classroom. So my teacher is giving me a lecture and I'm going to watch it. And then tomorrow we're going to do the homework and do the practice. So she's there with me when I'm in class. I'm like, oh.
She front loaded it.
Yeah.
Now that is worth it.
Yeah.
And with technology nowadays, think how easy that would be to do, to drop it on Google Classroom, front load the lesson, and then the next day they come in and feeling prepared. Now to me, that's not busy work.
He was, and it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She was explaining, it was math, I believe, a mathematical concept. He's like, I gotta watch.
Idea.
He's like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah.
So now, but that leads us to another element of this. So my son has a device. He's in the backseat of the car. So what's something, say we got to talk about things like the realities of home and equity.
Yeah.
That's not a possibility for everyone.
It
so
isn't.
it's a great idea.
It is. I think, again, it goes back to what district you're in, what building, do you have access to these things? Now, we keep talking about one-to-one. Most students should have access to a Chromebook and be able to, utilize that. Mm-hmm. I really do like that. I might even steal that from one of my buildings. I really like that idea.
And I think the experience of COVID really opened us up, or a lot of us up, to the realities of sharing a hotspot for 5 kids at home and not being, so we've seen that, equity is always something that we want to be aware of and make sure that students aren't worried about that as home. So let's go back to it. So we've now talked about it for a bit. Does this help? Does this harm? Is it essential for learning that students go home and repeat tasks and do homework? Or are they better served by, here we gave them all of this learning in a, whatever the length, 7.5 hour school day? We're actually doing more harm than help.
Are you pro homework? Or are you saying no?
Well, here's what I will tell you. As a student, I did not like homework. As a teacher, I do believe, I think it is helpful in reasonable amounts. Mm-hmm. And that the task that you are asking them to do is something that is not repetitive for the sake of being repetitive.
Absolutely.
Or homework that's given for the sake of homework because you've been told to do that. I think it needs to be meaningful, and I think some thought needs to go into what are you asking them to do at home. So yes, I do believe in it.
No. I just don't think there's enough research out there that supports it. Now, I do like your example of what your son's teacher did. That to me is a little bit different. But assigning homework, I just care too much about my class as a whole to say these kids have support at home, these kids do not. It's not fair. I'd rather keep them all. I keep doing this because it's like my little nest. I like to keep my kids together. I want them all to be learning. I want them all to have the same, presentation. I want them, I don't know. There's just something to be said about me delivering the content. And then, now, if they want to take something home, now reading at home, I think that's fine. But if they want to take something home to continue to work on it, that's on their own. But penalizing kids for not doing something is just, it's not.
Is reading okay and other things aren't because you're saying they're going to be reading something that they choose, so it's not really homework?
I don't know. I think as a parent, becoming a parent has shifted my mindset too. At the end of the day, I appreciate it if her teachers are listening. If you're signing the homework, we do it. But sometimes at the end of the day, we're just tired. And if I'm tired and she's tired, we got problems.
Well, in the middle school that I taught in, all the students were on a team. Mm-hmm. So I do believe, to support what you're saying, I do think that teachers on an academic team need to have conversations so that not everybody is giving homework.
Oh, that's true. I don't really think about that that way.
I think some communication there is essential so that the kids on Tuesday have no homework, but on Wednesday, science, math, English, social, everybody gave them homework. So I think that can help. I still do believe that life involves having to do things sometimes at home. Maybe it's not work related, but there's still things that you have to do. And then I have to, because I think this is a game changer and it can be leveraged either way. And I understand it's not accessible to everyone, but if your kid is struggling with something, what's wrong with using a free resource like Conmigo to have an at-home academic tutor? Maybe you can't afford to take them to a learning center, but you can access.
With technology, there might be a little, maybe if I was back in the classroom with technology, maybe I would utilize some of those, and that is true.
And some of these things, I don't know about for elementary, but I would think so, aren't some of these activities now gamified? And kids like games.
That's true.
So that's that's kind of sneaky. But that's, I don't know.
So maybe for the try this tomorrow, maybe offering choices. If you're a pro homework, maybe a choice board. I'm going to steal Dave's son's teacher's idea for try this tomorrow, and I'm going to say front load. Do a short video and upload it on Google Classroom and front load your lesson for the next day. That way, if they don't view it, it's not like they're penalized, but if they do, they get a little upper hand when they come into class the next day.
Yeah, and I
love that.
I'm definitely a believer in teaching is a little bit of performance. There's a little bit of artistry, but there is data, and we do need to track data, and we do track data. So if I have a student that's struggling, then I need to throw in a little bit of data. So if I give that student some homework for a period of time, do I see an improvement? If I don't, and if I just, maybe I reduce or take away the homework, do I see an improvement? So it's got to be you staying on top of how that student is doing to leverage which way you might want to go. And every kid is different.
Absolutely.
So for some kids, my two kids as the example, sometimes it can be a benefit and sometimes it can be a drawback. You got to get to know your students.
So whether you're team homework or team no homework, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think about homework. Tell us maybe some of your tricks. Maybe it's like this front-loading idea, or maybe you do have a cool choice board that we can share, because I think that's how we learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to hear from people, because there is no right, there is no wrong, but to be able to hear things that have been both successful and unsuccessful, I think is good information to share. So I think that's the conclusion of our episode on homework. Once again, follow us on your streaming services for the podcast, and subscribe and follow and give us suggestions at our YouTube channel. To see you in the next episode.